Hey, welcome back. Thanks for watching. So 1 year ago today, June 19th, 2024, in the afternoon, I went over and talked to my mom and dad, and my dad convinced me to retire. Now, my most popular video, over 250,000 views, which is really what got my channel anywhere near where it is today, was the words my dad used to convince me to retire, and I'll link that in this video here. But when I went to my financial advisor in March of last year, which I have a video on that as well, from that point in March until about the end of May, I was really kicking around the idea that I could retire at the end of 2024. Whereas I had planned, to retire perhaps in the year 2030, 2029, somewhere in there. But so I was completely consumed essentially with retirement and crunching the numbers and running scenarios to see if I could retire at the end of 2024 instead of waiting. There came a point in June where I was just done. I didn't want to be there anymore. I really thought that if there was any chance I could retire, then I was going to. And so I was really wrestling with it. My wife, she was behind me. She said, "Hey, whatever you decide, I will support you," because ultimately it was my decision. I had to feel comfortable with it. And so that was a Wednesday, and I went over that afternoon and I talked to mom and dad and laid out everything. And he convinced me that there was no need of waiting until the end of the year if I had enough money to retire in the halfway in the year. And the words that he used and talked about lifespan, and which, I'm not trying to make every video now about my dad, but, my dad passed away just a few weeks ago. And one of the things he told me was my health span and, living and having a shorter lifespan perhaps, and that if I had enough money, there was no reason for me to continue giving the company time in trade for money when I had enough. And so that was June 19th. That was a Wednesday. That evening at church, I just asked the church to pray. I had some decisions to make, and I was really kind of wrestling with that. And I don't know, Thursday morning, that next morning, actually, it was funny, I got called into work overtime on that Thursday, but I woke up with such peace that Thursday on the 20th. And so I spent a little bit of time there at work on Thursday calling corporate HR and getting some information that I hadn't yet got, and just having some questions answered. And then essentially on the 21st, June 21st of last year, I had made the decision that I was going to retire, and it was just going to be a matter of when it was going to work out. You didn't really have to give a 2-week notice where I worked, but I felt like, that was the proper thing to do. And so that was that would have been June 21st that I told my foreman and those concerned that I was going to be retiring, and that I would give them a final day the next week. And so we looked at the schedule, and I kind of looked and see how things would play out with the schedule. And I come up with July 14th being my last day. So from the time that I talked to my dad until my last day was roughly 1 month. Maybe just a pinch over, but it was 1 month from the time that I was convinced. And I got peace about it. I felt this overwhelming sense that this was the right decision. And I never really did have any dread after that day that I talked to my dad and had the church pray for me. And so I'm not saying, this is the way it's going to work out for everybody, but I'm looking back, and today that I'm recording this, June 19th, 2025, and looking back today 1 year ago, and that discussion that I had, obviously at that time, little did I know I was going to have less than a year with my dad. But had I had not had that discussion, I would probably still be working. But he was really adamant that if I had enough money, which we felt pretty confident that we did, that there was no reason to keep working. And I say that too. It was completely opposite of what I thought my dad was going to say, because my dad retired early, and it didn't work out for him. And I've got a video on that as well. But just knowing that he had, he was supporting my decision and was really encouraging me and getting this sense of peace that I was making the right decision. And since then, looking back, I've not really regretted it. There's been a few times I'm like, dang, what did I do? But for the most part, I've not regretted it. And it's been probably the best year of my life, being retired. But actually from this point forward, I've got 1 month yet till my 1-year anniversary of actually retiring, which I'll obviously have a video on that as well. But just looking back and thinking about a year ago today, and where I was at mentally and where I was at emotionally as far as work, and then getting the confidence from my dad to retire. So anyway, if you're thinking about retirement and you're just not sure, go talk to somebody. And I'm big about talking to financial advisors and kind of getting that done. But go talk to a friend, or go talk to a colleague, or go talk to somebody that you trust, and get their spin on it and get their opinion. You might have to bare your soul and say, mention things that perhaps you have kept secret as far as your finances and stuff. But all in all, I think if you go and talk to somebody about it, that's going to help quench your fears as to whether you should be retiring soon. Now, again, maybe you'll hear just the opposite, and you'll be told that you need to work longer. I guess that was my biggest fear, that the people I was talking to about it was going to tell me I had to keep working. My neighbor, specifically, I had talked to him a month or two prior to June of last year, and was telling him what I was thinking, and he was kind of on board with it. And then he came over sometime later and said, "I'm here to talk you out of it," and it kind of gave me a feeling in the pit of my stomach, like, well, crud. But he was just joking, and if he watches this, he knows who I'm talking about. So anyway, just some words and some remembrances from last year. I'll sign off, but I'm going to link a video to this. We had a big rainstorm yesterday, a derecho, and I'll link a video, 8 seconds at the end of this, so that you kind of get an idea of how hard it rained. But with that, I'll close. I'll say God bless. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.